Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Capital Wasteland. Today we're going to be checking out the Anchorage Memorial, which is just this large bronze statue which sits on the Potomac River, commemorating the Battle of Anchorage, Alaska. Obviously, in our timeline, this battle hasn't happened. Hopefully it'll never happen, but in the Fallout timeline, China invaded Alaska, and there was a brutal fight that took place between the US and Chinese forces. America lost control of Alaska, but eventually did regain control through Operation Anchorage. And of course, in Fallout 3, there's the DLC Operation Anchorage, where we can play a simulation of the fight against the Chinese, which I'm sure we will cover one day. Speaking of that DLC, during it, we can actually see the photo being taken by a photographer who tells 3 American soldiers to strike a heroic pose, and then he remarks, hey, it might be famous one day. Very similar to the flag-raising picture on Iwo Jima during World War II. And talking about the soldiers who strike the pose in the DLC, there are some differences actually in the pose they strike in the statue. One is the flamethrower. The flamethrower here in the bronze statue appears to be an old-style World War II flamethrower, which does not ever appear in Fallout 3, whereas in the DLC, the soldier is just holding a normal flamethrower. Additionally, the soldier on the left here is holding a missile launcher, but in the DLC, he is holding a Fat Man. Don't know if those differences were intentional or there's not enough attention to detail, but it doesn't really matter. Now, the Anchorage Memorial is near the center of the map, just along the Potomac, just east of Willems Wharf, and just south of DuPont West. Now, I'm sure many players are familiar with Anchorage Memorial simply because of the quest Wasteland Survival Guide, where Moira Brown will task us with infiltrating the undersection of Anchorage Memorial and planting an observer in the egg nest at the very bottom. Now, she prefers that we do this without killing any of the mirelurks inside because that could disrupt her studies. And there are 2 ways you can do this. One, you can just sneak past and run past all the mirelurks, kind of like I do, or you could go there before the quest, kill them all, and then go there, and that actually counts. Now, when I arrived here, I found all of these hunters here, and I was really surprised to find them here. I never remembered them being here. Turns out this is just a spawning point for a random encounter, a situation. Now, personally, I think having the hunters spawn here is extremely lucky and the best spawning point for them, because in my headcanon, I can tell myself that these hunters want to re-establish the mirelurk meat processing plant that is in the under part of the facility. You see, Anchorage Memorial used to be home to several wastelanders that were using it to breed mirelurks, and they were breeding them for their meat and making all kinds of delicious mirelurk meat. I don't know how good it is, but it appears that it's very delicious. However, these wastelanders were eventually killed, we can assume by the mirelurks or perhaps some other third party. And really cool is that these hunters don't ever seem to leave. I left for a few weeks in-game time, came back, and they were still here, so I just thought that was really cool. Now, we're going to run through the facility really fast for Moira Brown, that way we can come back and actually kill the mirelurks. So we're going to go through and just kind of run through this place really fast. Our goal is to get to the very bottom where we can find the egg nest of the mirelurks, place them inside, hide the observation device, and then we can run on out of here. Pretty easy, actually. Now, if the mirelurks do see you, you can just simply run past them, even the king. Usually they're not quick enough to kill you. So you just kind of make your way out, very easy. And if you didn't kill any mirelurks, then you get an extra reward. You get a hat on top of 6 stealth boys. The hat makes you more stealthy, so hey, not bad at all, and doesn't require much extra effort. Now, also, depending on your special stats, you might have some special dialogue options here, like I do, regarding your adventure in Anchorage Memorial. I decided to go with the intelligence response just because I thought it added some cool details, or at least scientific details, about mirelurks, and we can even give the mirelurks a scientific name, which is pretty freaking cool.
Scientific of you. Personally, I wasn't sure if they were crabs or if they came from some sort of brine shrimp, perhaps. Some of these observations about their armor and camouflage gave me an idea for reinforced neutral-colored headgear. Here, consider it thanks for not interfering with them. Oh, speaking of which, take these, so you can continue to avoid them in the future.
And with this portion of the Wasteland Survival Guide completed, we can now head back to Anchorage Memorial to fully investigate the entire facility. Now, on the outside of the facility, you might occasionally find some mirelurks just kind of roaming around. I found this one mirelurk who was somehow injured, and then 2 hunters that were with it. Maybe the hunters heard it, who knows? Or this rad scorpion, who knows? But to the north, we can find this kind of trailer and a super mutant overlord. Do be careful, because this overlord could fuck you up. But for me, I actually got really lucky, as you'll see here in a little bit. But you definitely want to come over here because we can get some really good loot out of this tent and out of this truck trailer that is next to us. But talking about this overlord, he was kind of beating the shit out of me. I was just using this tiny plasma pistol against him. Don't really know why I was doing that, bit crazy. But as I got backed up into the water, I fell into the water, and the super mutant overlord actually chased me into the water. I was kind of panicking because I thought he was going to hit me or something and kill me. But I went up top, I killed the centaur, I came back, and I found the super mutant overlord had become stuck in the water. He couldn't draw his weapon for some reason, and he was just standing there drinking the delicious river water of the Potomac. So I just started shooting him in the head, and he started screaming about hot potatoes. Don't know why. He was also trying to throw grenades and all kinds of other funny random dialogue. But man, he really wants a hot potato. So make sure you like this video so we can make sure our good friend here gets some hot potatoes. I don't know the connection, but hey, it helps out the channel. But anyways, after killing him, we looted his body, and I was very happy to find a mini nuke on his body, along with a stim pack and some other good stuff. After that, we can go untie this captive so you can help her out. And of course, you can choose to take her stuff or give it back to her. Either way, you'll get some karma. Then we can find the Keller family transcript, which is the 5th tape. And then there's also some ammunition boxes underneath that table. If we head back outside, head over to this trailer, go inside the trailer on a shelf, we can find a copy of Pugilism Illustrated. So you definitely want to pick up that bad boy. And then directly above it, we can find this first aid box with some random healing items. Now back at the actual memorial, we're going to head to the northern entrance, which is the one we used earlier during the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. I don't know why, but as a child, I used this entrance, so it's just kind of nostalgic. It just feels like the front door for me. Anyways, instead of going directly down, we're going to go to our left, which opens up into this kind of small section up here. If we open up this utility room, we can find a dead Wastelander, along with all kinds of blood and stuff around the room. So we definitely get a scene that something very bad has happened here. On this table, we can find 3 pre-war books, and then I got scared shitless by this damn mirelurk hunter, who just barged into the room and started beating me up, but I was able to kill him with some well-placed laser rifle shots to the face. There's also some random junk on the shelf, which might be of use to you if you're into crafting or trying to make some kind of weapon. And then this bed in the back, well, it has blood all over it. In the next room, there really isn't a whole lot, but we can find this desk with a little lamp on it. There's 1 bottle cap in the desk, but really there's not much loot of interest inside of this room. Now back outside, if we go to our right, we can find a workbench which has a bottle cap mine on it, so make sure to pick it up real quick. Then as we make our way down to the second level, we probably will find some more mirelurks just like I did. I found a hunter just hanging out over here, so I started shooting him in the face. He chased me upstairs, but eventually I was able to kill him. Then going back downstairs, we can now explore this second level. Now down here, there is a vending machine, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but in the middle, we can find this Anchorage Memorial Facility Terminal. It has an average lock, but you're going to want to open it, because with it, we will have the option to unlock the secure medical safe. And if you actually click on this, we get a note, which reads, "Ted, remember, I hid this stash for you to find. Don't trust anybody, especially anybody who works for me. Do this alone. I busted the storage door down near the service entrance. There's a floor safe in the clinic that contains the parts to fix the broken door. I also left you a repair manual just in case you've gotten rusty. But you were always a wizard with a wrench, so I'm sure you'll be fine. Now, get going." So this terminal has some very important information that is very relevant to us. We can actually fix this broken door and find the door component to make it easier to fix. Now there's some other options on this computer, like turn on backup generators or initialize water management systems. However, neither option does anything. It just says system failure. Now behind the vending machine here, we actually have some access codes So you're going ahead and make sure to pick those up. There was nothing in the vending machine besides Nuka-Cola, who would have thought? Now, inside of this room here, we can find another dead Wastelander. He also had a Chinese pistol on him. There was some junk on those shelves. And then we can find the medical room, which was mentioned in the terminal. Also a damaged gnome in the corner, just always kind of scary to me, don't know why. Now, there's some bottle caps on this one table, so I went ahead and took all of them. And then over here on this table with the lamp, we can actually find a DC Journal of Medicine, Internal Medicine, which is kind of hiding there, so make sure you pick it up. And then we can find the floor safe, which is now unlocked. And then we can find a copy of Dean's Electronics, which is the repair manual mentioned in the terminal, along with the door component. So make sure you pick up both of those for later in the facility. After that, we can enter the Anchorage facility bay, which is this large room with several floors. There are a lot of mirelurks in here. My recommendation is to go about the floors, killing all of the mirelurks first. That way it makes it easier to explore later. After you've killed all of the mirelurks, you can really go any which way you want. I decided to go to the top first. That way I could just work my way down. Now, truth to be told, there really isn't a whole lot of loot in this part of the Anchorage Memorial. There's just a lot of mirelurks, and of course, the Wasteland Survival Guide is at the bottom of this room. Now, at the top, though, we can find a mercenary with Merc's orders on his dead body, and these orders read, "By now, your handler's given you the location of the job and your basic orders. Here are the details. Traders have been making a killing with mirelurk meat, and we've been losing business because of it. One of our people got involved with a caravan supplier, and we finally know where it's all coming from. The meat's mostly coming from one group holed up along the river, smack in the middle of the ruins. There's a huge old facility under some war memorial where they've herded up a nest of mirelurks and have been breeding and butchering them. They've been in business for months and are sure to be sitting on a pile of caps. Take what you can carry. We just want them out of the meat market. The rest is up to you. This isn't the biggest job, but pull it off clean, and there's plenty more work for a man with your skills. Get back to your handler as soon as the job is done, and we'll be in touch." So obviously the meat operation at this facility attracted some unwanted attention, but it appears this merc was actually killed by the mirelurks within. He was most likely not expecting them to be a problem. Anyways, heading back down, eventually we can find these double doors, which lead to the memorial service entrance. And this is where we will want to head next. However, I just want to show off the bottom part one more time. It has some water in it, and there's the mirelurk eggs, of course, down here as well. But truth be told, there is no loot down here, but there are some creepy piles of human remains. And then as we make our way to the memorial service entrance, we will find a lone mirelurk up on the top floor. After that, there is a bottom floor, and there will be a mirelurk king in here, so do be careful of him. But I just used my 44 Magnum, and I just kind of shot him from above, and whenever he used his, his telepathic ability, I don't know what that's called, head cannon on me, I just kind of ducked back and was able to avoid damage, and then I sent his head fucking flying. Just absolutely beautiful. Now, staying up on this floor, on the top floor, we want to activate this switch, which will open this door to some, service tunnels. Then there will be some mirelurks in here, so go ahead and take them out, because that'll make your life a lot easier, of course. Or you might get jumped by a mirelurk like I did here. You can make your way through, but really most of these rooms are just empty or have dead bodies in them. But eventually we can find that utility door, and if we have the door component, we only need 35 repair to open it. If you don't have the door component, you will need 95 repair to open it, kind of a big gap. Inside we can find a Nuka-Cola Quantum, some bottle caps. We can also find a note about a supply stash and also a key, Anchorage stash key. These are both very important, so I highly recommend picking them up. But besides that, there isn't a whole lot of loot inside of here. You can look in the suitcase and stuff, but I didn't really find anything worth mentioning. Now, if we take a look at that note, it reads, "The stash is hidden downstairs in one of the freezers. Rocky set it up. You know his style. Don't forget the key. You'll need it to unlock the compartment." So now we know there is a secret compartment within one of the freezers, so we'll make our way downstairs. Also, if we go all the way to the back of these service tunnels, we can find a door which will lead us to the southern side of the memorial. It's a very easy lock, so easy to pick if you want to get outside real quick. Now, downstairs where that mirelurk king was, we can find some first aid boxes, a lot of alcohol, we can find some mirelurk cakes and other mirelurk meat down here. All very good and very interesting if you want it. Now, there's two ways to head downstairs. It doesn't matter which way you go. There's a staircase and a door, but they both just loop to the same area. Downstairs, you're going to find a lone mirelurk, so go ahead and take him out. After that, we'll go down here and explore freely, and we can find what appears to be a butchering room. We can find several mirelurks on tables, and then we can find 3 refrigerators. The first 2 on the left are just normal, and the one on the right is the one with the compartment. Now, if you have a high enough perception, you will notice this compartment without the note, but if your perception is too low, it disappears as a normal refrigerator. Either way, though, you have to have the stash key to access the 300 caps inside of it, along with the mirelurk cakes recipe. So especially if you're early on in a playthrough, 300 caps can come in quite handy, and this is a pretty easy 300 caps to get. And finally, we can move on to the Anchorage Memorial Facility offices. On the 3rd floor of the Anchorage Memorial Bay, we can find the door to the offices. It looks like different from all the other doors within the facility because it's just a normal door, whereas all the other ones are like mechanical doors. Now, there's a terminal and stuff in here which we can use to open this safe. The safe is average locked, the terminal is average locked, and then we can find a collapsed portion of the offices. Now, there really isn't a whole lot in these offices. There's some bathrooms and one lone office, but of course it's in pretty bad shape. Now, if we go down into this tunnel, be prepared for a somewhat difficult fight. Also, a really creepy skeleton hanging from the ceiling. Pretty actually good, though, for the ambience of the place. But anyways, I found a mirelurk king and a mirelurk hunter working together, and it took me quite a bit of time to get through both of them, but eventually I was able to do it with a final bullet to the hunter. And with that, you can make your way through this cave all the way to the back. We have to dive underneath the water, and then we can find an exit. There is another exit or / entrance into the Anchorage facility underneath the water. It's at the northern end of the Anchorage War Memorial, right where I am now. Now, back on top, there is one last thing I wanted to show, and that is the top entrance to the Anchorage Facility Bay. It is right here on the west side, and it is an average lock, so that is, of course, one option to get inside. A really easy average lock, I might say. Now, you may have seen it with the quest information on the left side of the screen, but during Chapter 2 of the Wasteland Survival Guide, you have to hurt yourself quite bad, which I did. I almost died, very close to death, and I also hurt my leg, or crippled my leg, and that concludes Chapter 2 of the Wasteland Survival Guide for me. Of course, you can actually tackle each chapter in whatever order you want. Just the injury was the last thing I needed to do, so I went ahead and did it in Megaton. It's really easy to do, so I just decided to put it in this video since it's Wasteland Survival Guide, and I thought I got really lucky, and I thought it was really funny. And there you guys have it, the Anchorage War Memorial. This is a really cool location. However, I always thought the inside was a little bit confusing, but after making this video, I have a much better understanding of the layout. Hopefully this video can also help you explore it if this is what you're using the video for. Otherwise, I hope you learned something today while watching this video. Again, I think I am incredibly lucky that these hunters are just hanging around the memorial. Perhaps one day they will open up their own mirelurk meat business within the facility. Who knows? Alright guys, if you have any recommendations or ideas for future videos or future locations, please post them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, until next time.